AITA for saying enough to my girlfriend's mom controlling our life. My name is Lawrence. I'm 26, and my girlfriend's name is Raven. She's 25. We've been together for about 3 years. Things between us have always been mostly good, but lately, I've started noticing cracks that weren't there before. Small things that make me feel like we're living two different lives under one roof. Raven's always been close to her mom, Ada. They talk every day, sometimes multiple times, and she visits her almost every weekend. I've always thought it was sweet, honestly. I like Ada too. She's kind, funny, and easy to talk to. But sometimes, I feel like I'm part of a pair that doesn't include me. It started subtly. Raven would cancel dinner plans with me because her mom needed help setting up her tablet. Or we'd be in the middle of a movie night and Ada would call and Raven would disappear into the hallway for 40 minutes, laughing softly, whispering. At first, I didn't mind. I thought it was just part of who she was. Loyal, caring, family-oriented. But over time, it started to feel like I was sharing her with someone who didn't realize I was even in the room. So when Halloween came around this year, my friends and I planned to go out. Nothing wild, just a costume night at a local bar. I told Raven about it, thinking we'd go together like we always used to. But she said she'd already promised her mom they'd stay in and watch movies, hand out candy, maybe bake something. I laughed and said, that sounds nice. Maybe we can go out the next night. But she shook her head. I want you to come too. Mom's excited to see you. I hesitated. You want me to skip my friend's party to sit at home with your mom? She frowned. You say it like that on purpose. It's not just sitting at home. It's spending time with family. She's been lonely lately. Lawrence. I didn't want to start a fight, so I said, okay, I'll think about it. But I already knew she meant think about it, as say yes eventually. For days, the tension hung between us. Every time I mentioned my friends, her face hardened a little. Finally, I agreed, mostly just to keep the peace. Halloween night came, and it was fine at first. Ada made hot cider. They both wore silly pumpkin headbands, and we watched old black and white comedies. I tried to enjoy it, but my phone kept lighting up with texts and pictures from my friends out having fun. Everyone in costumes, laughing, faces flushed under neon lights. When I laughed at one of the messages, Raven looked over. You could try to look like you want to be here, she said quietly. I do, I said, but even I didn't believe my tone. After that, the silence stretched. Ada tried to lighten the mood by asking questions about my job, but even she could feel the air tight. I helped clean up early, told them I was tired, and went to bed. The next morning, Raven was distant. She made coffee, but didn't pour me any. I thought she'd cool down after a day or two, but instead, she brought it up again over breakfast. You made me feel stupid, she said, not looking at me. You were there, but you weren't there. I'm sorry, I said. I didn't mean to. I just wish we could have done both. Spent some time with her, and then gone out. She shook her head. That's not the point. It was about being together. You keep choosing other people over me. That last part hit me harder than I expected, because I didn't think that was true. I'd been bending over backward, trying to be supportive. I'd gone to her mom's every weekend, helped fix her kitchen light, even built a shelf for her. But it never felt like enough. For days afterward, we barely spoke. Our routines became mechanical. She'd wake up early, make her smoothie, and scroll through her messages while I got ready for work. When I came home, she'd already be on the phone with Ada. One night, I walked in and overheard her whispering, yeah, I don't know what's going on with him lately. He's been distant. It took me a second to realize she was talking about me. I stood there in the hallway, frozen. When she hung up, I asked quietly, is that really how you see me? She startled, then sighed. You were listening? I didn't mean to, but distant? I'm trying, Raven. I really am. Her eyes softened for a second, but then she said, it just feels like you don't want to be part of this anymore. This? You mean us, or you and your mom? That was the first time my voice came out sharper than I intended. She glared at me. Don't make this about her. You always do that. I'm not, I said. I'm just saying it feels like I'm competing for your time. She threw her hands up. Competing? She's my mom, Lawrence. She lost her husband, my dad, 3 years ago. She's alone. You act like it's some kind of crime that I want to be there for her. I'm not saying it's a crime, I said quietly. But when was the last time we spent a weekend together that didn't include her? She opened her mouth to argue, then stopped. Her silence said everything. After that night, we barely talked. Meals were quiet. Small talk felt forced. I started spending more time at the gym after work, partly to clear my head, partly to avoid the tension at home. Then, last week, she mentioned New Year's. I'm thinking Mom and I will stay in again, she said carefully. You'll join us, right? I hesitated. Raven, I kind of wanted to spend New Year's with my friends this year. Her face fell immediately. So, again, I'm last on your list. That's not it, I said quickly. You know I care about your mom, but you and I never do anything fun anymore. We used to go out, dance, actually celebrate. She crossed her arms. ears. So what you're saying is my mom ruins things for you. That's not fair, I said. You're twisting it. I'm not, she said, her voice trembling. You just can't stand doing something that isn't about you. That stung more than I wanted to admit. I didn't yell. I just got up, grabbed my keys, and walked out. I sat in the car, staring at the empty street. My reflection ghosted in the windshield. When I came back in, she was in the kitchen, wiping her eyes. I wanted to reach out, to say something, but the words just wouldn't come. So I went upstairs instead. I didn't plan to update anyone about this, but the situation took a turn I didn't expect. It started a few days after that last argument. I came home from work one evening, and my phone buzzed with a call from a number I didn't recognize. I almost ignored it, but something made me pick up. Lawrence, it's Ada. I froze for a second. Raven's mom had never called me directly before. She usually just spoke to me through Raven or in group texts. Hi, Ada, I said cautiously. Is everything okay? Her voice was soft, calm. Everything's fine. I wanted to apologize. That threw me off. For what? For putting Raven in a difficult position, she said gently. I think she feels like she's responsible for keeping me company all the time. I told her I'd be perfectly fine spending New Year's on my own. I didn't know what to say. That's really kind of you, I said quietly. Ada sighed, and for a moment, her voice cracked a little. She's been protective of me ever since her father passed. I think sometimes she forgets she's allowed to live her own life. That sentence lingered in my head for the rest of the night. I sat on the couch after hanging up, just staring at the blank TV screen, thinking about how often Raven mentioned her dad, how she still kept his old jacket hanging by the door, untouched. It all suddenly made sense. The need to keep Ada close, the guilt when she wasn't there. It wasn't just habit, it was fear. When Raven came home that night, I told her about the call. She froze mid-step, still holding her bag. She called you? She asked quietly. Yeah, I said. She told me she'll be fine on New Year's. Raven stared down at her hands. I didn't mean to make you feel trapped. Every time I think about not being there, I imagine her sitting alone in that house, and then I feel guilty. I nodded slowly. I get it, but you don't have to carry that all by yourself. She looked at me then, really looked. Her eyes were tired, red around the edges. Sometimes I don't even realize I'm doing it. I guess I keep thinking if I stay close enough to her, I won't lose her too. I reached over and took her hand. For a long time, we didn't say anything. Just sat there, hands linked, both of us breathing a little easier than we had in weeks. But peace didn't last long. 2 nights later, the topic came up again, this time during dinner. Raven was quiet, pushing her food around her plate. Then she asked softly, would it bother you if I still went to Mom's earlier on New Year's Day, just to spend a few hours before we go out? Of course not, I said immediately, but she didn't look convinced. I know you said you wanted us to do something together, she said, her voice small. I just don't want you to feel like you're always competing. I sighed. Raven, I don't want to compete. I just want us to find some kind of balance. I miss feeling like we're a team. She nodded but didn't say anything else. That night, as I was brushing my teeth, I heard her talking to Ada in the next room. Her tone was gentle, but there was a hint of defensiveness. No, Mom, it's not like that. He just wants us to have time together too. I could hear Ada's muffled response. Calm, measured, like she was trying to smooth things over. Then Raven said quietly, I know, but I can't just stop being there for you. You're all I have. That last sentence hit me like a stone. I didn't say anything about it the next day. I didn't even know how to. I just tried to act normal. But something inside me shifted. Not anger, not sadness, just an ache I couldn't name. As New Year's got closer, the air between us thickened again. Little things turned into quiet tension. The way she double-checked her phone during dinner, how she changed the subject when I mentioned our plans. Then, on the morning of December 30th, I woke up to find her sitting on the edge of the bed, scrolling through her messages. Everything okay? I asked. She nodded slowly. Yeah. Mom asked if we could pick her up something from the store before tomorrow. I hesitated, then said gently, Raven, are you sure you want to split the night? We could spend the morning with her, and then just have the evening to ourselves. She looked torn. I want that. I really do. But if she's alone at midnight, I'll feel horrible. I could feel my frustration bubbling, but I kept my voice steady. It's just one night, Raven. One night for us. That was all it took for another argument to spark. So now I'm selfish for wanting to see my mom, she said, her tone sharp. That's not what I said. It's what you meant, she shot back. You keep pretending you're understanding, but the second I make a choice you don't like, you shut down. I took a deep breath. I just want to feel like we matter too, that you still want to be with me sometimes. She glared at me, tears starting to form. You think I don't want that? You think I like being torn between the two people I care about most? The words hit me hard. I walked out to the living room, sat on the couch, and rubbed my eyes. We didn't speak for hours after that. The silence stretched long into the night. The next day, Ada texted me again. You two okay? Raven seemed upset after we talked last night. Please be patient with her. I didn't respond right away. I just stared at the screen screen, wondering how I was supposed to be patient when it felt like every conversation ended with me being the bad guy. But then something unexpected happened. Around lunchtime, Raven came up behind me, sat next to me, and said quietly, I told her no. No to what? I asked. No to staying home. I told Mom that we'd go out this year. She wasn't thrilled, but she understood. I blinked, unsure if I'd heard her right. You sure? She nodded. I think we need this. Maybe I've been scared to let go a little, but I don't want to lose us trying to hold on to everything else. It was one of those moments where you can feel something shift, where all the anger and exhaustion fall away for just a second. So we went out. We laughed. We danced. For the first time in months, it felt easy again. The end. Honestly, you're not the AITA here. You were trying to be supportive, patient, and flexible, but it's completely normal to feel frustrated when it seems like you're always competing with her mom for attention. That's not selfish. It's just being human. Raven clearly cares about her mom a lot, and she's still processing grief and guilt. That explains her actions, but it doesn't make them fair to you. Wanting some time together, a night out, a weekend to yourselves, is reasonable. You didn't ignore her or sabotage her plans. You just wanted balance. The turning point was when Ada called. That was like a calm referee blowing the whistle. You weren't the villain, and now Raven could see the pressure she was putting on you. When she finally chose to go out with you, it showed she values your relationship too. It wasn't about choosing you over her mom forever, just learning to balance both. She'll take away. It's okay to speak up for your needs. Supporting a partner doesn't mean erasing yourself. Relationships aren't competitions. They're about sharing time, space, and energy, and sometimes that means negotiating boundaries. So yeah, you're not the AITA. You just had to remind everyone, including yourself, that your time and feelings matter too. Before we jump into the next story, don't forget to like and subscribe, and let us know your favorite part in the comments. AITA for ending my relationship after finding my girlfriend's backup plan with someone else? My name is Oscar, I'm 28, and my girlfriend, Nancy, is 27. We've been together for almost 4 years. For most of that time, things felt steady, calm, familiar, and safe. We talked about getting a dog, maybe even buying a small house one day. It wasn't perfect, but it felt real. It felt like something that would last if we both kept trying. But then, about a month ago, something started to change. Nancy began meeting an old college friend named Damari. She said they hadn't spoken in years and were just catching up. I didn't think much of it at first. I trusted her. She'd always been warm and honest, the kind of person who'd rather talk things out than hide them. But something in the way she spoke about him made me pause. Her face would light up when she mentioned him, her laugh a little too natural, a little too alive. And then she'd quickly change the subject whenever I asked more. One Sunday afternoon, she told me she was going to meet Damari at a cafe near the park. Just coffee, she said with a small smile. Don't wait up. I told her to have fun. I wanted to mean it, but I didn't. When she came home that night, she was quiet. She barely looked at me. She went straight to her phone, typing something quickly, then locking it whenever I got close. The glow of her screen lit up her face in the dark living room, but not once did she look up at me. Over the next few weeks, she grew more distant. Her laughter faded, her warmth thinned, and the easy rhythm we used to share began to slip away. The little moments, morning coffee together, late night talks before bed, even sharing silly shows, started disappearing. It felt like we were living side by side, not together. I tried not to assume the worst. I told myself I was being paranoid, that maybe she was just tired or stressed or trying to find her own space. But deep down, I knew something had shifted between us, something quiet but real. One evening, while sorting through papers in our small office, I found a small notebook tucked beneath a pile of envelopes. It wasn't hidden exactly, just placed where I'd never normally look. The cover was blue, frayed at the corners, and soft from being handled often. I opened it without thinking, just curiosity, no suspicion yet. On one page, in Nancy's handwriting, were the words, "If we're both single at 30, let's finally build the life we talked about." Underneath it were two names, Nancy and Damari. I froze. My chest felt hollow. It wasn't dated, but the ink looked fresh, darker than the other pages. I knew it hadn't been written long ago. I closed the notebook and sat there for a long time, staring at the floor. 1,000 thoughts went through my head. Maybe it was old, and she'd just rewritten it out of nostalgia. Maybe it meant nothing, but why did it feel like everything? That night, I didn't mention it. I just sat beside her on the couch, pretending to watch TV while she smiled faintly at her phone. Every little sound, every notification felt louder than usual. I tried to ignore it, but all I could think about was that page. The next evening, I decided I couldn't hold it in anymore. During dinner, I said softly, "Hey, I found that blue notebook in the office. There's a note in there about you and Damari." Her fork stopped midair. "You read that?" she whispered. "I did," I said quietly. "Can you tell me what it's about?" Her face shifted, surprise, fear, guilt, all in one. "It's nothing serious," she said quickly. "We wrote it years ago, kind of as a joke." I frowned. "It looks new. You rewrote it." She hesitated, her her eyes darting toward her plate. Okay, yeah, I added to it, but it doesn't mean anything. Then why make it now? I asked, my voice calm but tight. She looked down, her voice trembling slightly. Because I didn't know where we were heading anymore. I guess. I was scared. If things didn't work out between us, I didn't want to feel like I had no one. Damari has always been a friend. It just felt comforting. Her words hit hard, not because they were angry or cruel, but because they were honest. Too honest. I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself. You could have told me that instead of writing out a backup plan with someone else. It's not a backup plan, she said softly. It's just something that made me feel safe. You don't understand how much I fear being left behind. I do understand, I said, my voice quieter. But if you already think we won't last, then what are we doing? She didn't answer. Her eyes filled with tears, but she didn't reach for me. She just sat there, frozen between guilt and fear. The silence between us felt heavier than any argument. That night, I slept on the couch. She didn't come out to say goodnight. The next morning, she was gone by the time I woke up. No note, no text, just the sound of the coffee pot still warm and her half-empty mug sitting on the counter. Over the next few days, we barely spoke. When she texted me, it was short, polite. I'll be home late. Don't forget to eat. The kind of tone you use with a coworker, not someone you love. I wanted to reach out to fix it, but I couldn't stop seeing those words written in her notebook. 3 days later, I finally sent her a message. It took me hours to write it. Nancy, I love you, but I can't be with someone who's planning for another future, even if it's just in words. You might think it's harmless, but it broke something in me. I need space. She replied an hour later. I never meant to hurt you. I was just scared. Please don't walk away. I read it again and again, but I didn't answer. 2 days later, she came to my apartment with a small bag of my things. Her eyes were red, her voice low. You're ending this over something meaningless? She asked quietly. I looked at her, tired but calm. If it was meaningless, you wouldn't have hidden it. Her lips trembled. I didn't hide it. I just didn't think you'd understand. I would have tried to, I said softly, if you'd let me. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then she stepped forward, her voice shaking. You think I don't love you? You think that note means I want him? I was scared, Oscar. You were pulling away, working late, barely talking. I thought maybe you didn't want me anymore. I was working so we could afford that house you keep showing me online, I said, my voice rising slightly. I was trying to build something real. You thought I didn't care, and instead of asking me, you wrote a promise to someone else. Her eyes widened, her breath catching. I didn't know how to ask without sounding needy. You didn't have to ask, I said quietly. You just had to talk to me. She covered her face with her hands, sobbing softly. I stood there, not knowing whether to comfort her or let her go. After a moment, she looked up at me again, her eyes swollen, her voice small. I messed up, I know that, but can't we fix this? I wanted to say yes. I wanted to believe that love could fix everything. But in that moment, I realized something had already broken, not beyond repair, maybe, but deep enough to change us. I shook my head slowly. I don't think we can. She took a step back, silent tears running down her cheeks. So that's it, I said softly. I can't unsee it. I can't pretend it didn't mean something. She nodded slowly, her shoulders shaking as she whispered, goodbye. I watched her walk down the hallway, her footsteps fading until all that was left was the sound of the door closing behind her. I thought time would make it easier, but it didn't. After the breakup, my days blurred together. Work felt mechanical, my apartment too quiet, and even the air seemed heavier than before. Every time I opened my phone, her name stared back at me somewhere, in old messages, in tagged photos, in memories I wasn't ready to delete. Then I started noticing Damari's posts on social media. He was subtle about it. Pictures of coffee cups, long walks near the same park Nancy used to love, vague captions like, some people never really leave your life, and Nancy liked every single one. At first, I told myself it didn't matter. We were done. She could talk to whoever she wanted. But the truth is, it stung. Every little blue heart beside his posts felt like a quiet reminder that she was moving on, or maybe trying to. A week later, I ran into her by accident. It was late afternoon, and I was grabbing groceries. She was standing in the produce section, holding a bag of apples, looking just as startled as I felt. Hey, she said, her voice soft but uncertain. Hey, I replied. For a moment, neither of us moved. It felt strange, being that close to someone who used to be your whole world, and now felt like a stranger with familiar eyes. You look tired, she said quietly. Yeah, I answered. It's been a lot. She nodded, fiddling with the edge of the apple bag. I didn't expect to see you here. Me neither. We stood there for a few seconds more before I finally said, I should get going. She looked like she wanted to stop me, but she didn't. Okay, she said softly. Take care, Oscar. That night, I couldn't sleep. The way she looked at me, a mix of regret and exhaustion, replayed in my mind over and over. I kept wondering if I'd been too harsh, if I'd walked away too soon. Then, 3 nights later, my phone rang. Her name lit up the screen. I stared at it for a long time before I answered. Her voice was shaky, tired. "Oscar, it's me. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. I didn't realize how much I was hurting you until it was too late. I've tried to move on, but I can't." For a moment, I didn't say anything. Hearing her voice again made my chest ache. "Nancy," I said quietly, "I don't know what to say." "Say that you'll meet me," she whispered. "Just once. Please. I need to talk to you." I hesitated, but something in her tone, that mix of sadness and desperation, made me agree. We met the next evening at the same cafe where she used to see Damari. She was already there when I arrived, sitting by the window. Her hair was tied back, and she looked like she hadn't slept in days. "Thanks for coming," she said as I sat down. "Sure," I said carefully. She looked down at her coffee, stirring it even though it was already cold. "I've been thinking about everything. About how I handled things, about the notebook." I stayed silent. "I didn't mean to make it seem like I didn't want you," she said. I panicked. "Damari and I had this joke years ago, and when things between us started feeling off, I don't know, I clung to something familiar. I was scared that you'd stop loving me the way you used to." I looked at her, searching her face for the truth. "You don't make a pact with someone because you're scared, Nancy. You make it because part of you wants a way out." She flinched at that. "That's not fair." "Neither was what you did," I said quietly. "You told me it was meaningless, but you wrote it knowing how it would feel if I ever saw it." Her eyes filled with tears. "I made a mistake. A stupid, thoughtless mistake. But you didn't even give me a chance to make it right. You just left." I sighed. "You're right. I left because I couldn't pretend anymore. Because the person I trusted the most was planning a future that didn't include me." There was a long silence. People around us chatted softly, cups clinking, the smell of coffee filling the air. It felt like the rest of the world had moved on while we were still standing in the wreckage of what we used to be. Then she said quietly, "Damari asked me out." I froze. "When?" "Last week," she said. "After everything happened." My stomach sank. "And?" I said no, she said, her voice trembling. "Because I realized I didn't want him. I wanted us. But it's too late, isn't it?" I didn't answer right away. I looked at her, the woman I'd loved, the one I'd dreamed about marrying someday, and all I could think was how far we'd drifted. "Yeah," I said finally. "I think it is." She nodded slowly, wiping her eyes. I figured. We sat there for another few minutes, neither of us speaking. Then she stood up, sliding her chair back quietly. "I hope you find someone who never makes you question anything," she said softly. "Because you deserve that, Oscar. And I hope you find someone who doesn't make you feel scared all the time," I replied. She smiled faintly, that same soft, tired smile she'd given me the first night we met. "Goodbye," she whispered. "Goodbye, Nancy." She walked out of the cafe, the bell over the door jingling softly. I watched her go until she disappeared into the crowd outside. After she left, I sat there alone for a while. The coffee had gone cold. My hands were trembling, but not from anger, from something deeper, quieter, a kind of sadness that comes when you realize love isn't always enough to keep two people together. Later that night, I checked my phone out of habit. There was one new message from her. "I'll always care about you. I hope someday you can forgive me." I didn't reply, not because I didn't want to, but because I finally understood that some things are better left unsaid. In the weeks that followed, I started walking again in the evenings, through the same park where she and I used to go. The world looked different now, quieter, sharper. I'd see couples holding hands, laughing, and it hurt for a moment, then passed. One evening, I saw her there from a distance. She was walking alone, her phone in her hand, staring at the sky. Our eyes met briefly, but neither of us waved. We both just smiled faintly, then kept walking in opposite directions. That was the last time I saw her. The end. You're not the AITA here. You found something in the relationship that made you uncomfortable, a notebook with a future plan involving someone else, and your feelings were valid. That's it. Nothing dramatic, nothing overblown. Trust got shaken, and you reacted like a normal human. You took space, processed, and made a decision that felt right. Nancy obviously acted out of fear and insecurity. She panicked, wrote a note, and didn't think through how it would affect you. People do weird, thoughtless things when they're scared of losing someone. It's not a crime, it's just human. But her fear doesn't cancel out your need for honesty and emotional safety. You left because trust matters more than pretending everything's fine. You didn't yell, you didn't sabotage her, you didn't do anything sneaky. You recognized the imbalance and chose to protect yourself. That's mature, not mean. Chill takeaway. Relationships are about clarity, not perfect love stories. When one person secretly drafts a backup plan, it signals a lack of security, not romance. You acknowledged it, responded calmly, and moved forward. That's the healthiest choice anyone could make in that situation. Final verdict, not the AITA. You acted reasonably, respectfully, and preserved your own emotional well-being. Sometimes letting go is the best way to honor both people. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Got a story to share? Drop it in the comments, and let us know which one was your favorite. If you enjoyed this video, you'll definitely want to check out AITA for exposing my best friend's abusive fiancé. Click here to watch it now.